The archetype of the wanderer is exemplified by stories of the knight, the cowboy, and the explorer who set off alone to see the world. During their travels, they find a treasure that symbolically represents the gift of their true selves. Consciously taking one's journey, setting out to confront the unknown, marks the beginning of life lived at a new level. Unlike the orphan, who primarily considers life as suffering, the wanderer makes the radical assertion that life is an adventure. We often are aware of the wanderers who externalize their journeys and either literally travel or experiment widely with new behaviors. But there also are heroes whose external behavior seems conventional enough, yet whose explorations of their inner world are profound. For instance, Emily Dickinson, in the later years of her life, hardly ventures even downstairs. Yet, whoever reads her poetry can see the uniqueness, importance, and intense vitality of her quest. The wanderer archetype emerges in most people in adolescence as we rebel against our parents, and in midlife when we resist expectations that we only be a performance machine. In such critical life passages, the wanderer pressures us to think about who we are and what we want, and to stand up to those who think they know best what we should do. If the orphan story starts in paradise, the wanderers begins in captivity. In fairy tales, the prospective wanderer may be entrapped in a tower or cave and is usually the captive of a witch, an ogre, a dragon, or some other fearsome beast. Often, the captor is a symbol of the status quo, of conformity and false identity imposed by prevailing cultural rules. Often the hero is told that the cage is the Garden of Eden and that living inevitably will require a fall from grace. In other words, the cage is as good as it gets. The first job of the wanderer is to develop true sight, to declare or acknowledge that the cage is a cage and the captor is a villain. This is especially hard to do because the hero may not only be frightened of the quest but disapprove of it, and these feelings and judgments are likely to be reinforced by those of others. If wanderers chose to go on their journey, they may even feel guilty for the act of claiming one's identity and developing an ego, which is classically portrayed as an insult to the gods. Think, for example, of Eve eating the apple or Prometheus stealing fire. And also because we often are afraid of major changes in others as well as ourselves, we may discourage budding heroes from embarking on their quest. We want them to stay the way they are. For one thing, we may be afraid of losing our lovers, spouses, friends, even parents and children, if they seem to be changing too much. We may be particularly threatened if someone who has lived to please or serve us all of a sudden declines to do so. While the crucial person for orphans is the rescuer, the transformative person or concept for wanderers is the villain or captor. In fact, it is the identification of the villain as a real threat that motivates the journey. Once they identify a person, institution, or belief system as the cause of their misery, wanderers can avoid or flee that cause. Another important thing about wanderers taking their journey is that it has a ripple effect, allowing loved ones and colleagues to take their journeys as well. Perhaps at first others will be threatened and angry, but sooner or later they will have to either leave or come along. If they leave, wanderers may experience aloneness for a while, but sooner or later they will develop better relationships, ones that are more genuinely satisfying because they are based on respect for that journey. When the wanderers make the decisions to leave the world of the known for the unknown, they must confront the fear of loneliness, isolation, and even social ostracism in order to be themselves. Carol Gilligan, an American psychologist, points out that while most men fear intimacy, women fear aloneness. Here, we can see two different responses to the same belief system. In our culture, we tend to believe we can have intimacy or we can have autonomy and selfhood. So, women tend to choose intimacy and men choose independence. The irony is that in choosing this way, neither really gets what they want. Firstly, people really want both, and secondly, it is not possible to truly get one without the other. If we choose intimacy instead of independence, we cannot be fully ourselves in a relationship because we have too much invested in keeping it. We play it safe, play a role, and wonder why we feel so alone. If, on the other hand, we choose independence, our need for intimacy does not go away. Indeed, because it is repressed and therefore unacknowledged and unexamined, it manifests itself in compulsive and uncontrolled urges and activities. Most men or women who believe in "I don't need anyone's" stoicism are dreadfully lonely. It is critical to do both at some time in one's life. Women tend to be so afraid of aloneness that they stay overlong in the altruist mode. Men, on the other hand, are so infatuated of independence that they get stuck there, since independence in our culture is practically a synonym for masculinity. Furthermore, their independence has an undercurrent of sadness to it, especially if they have sacrificed their need for love to their desire to be separate and whole. In the late 20th century, many women concluded that liberation came from having a career. This is partly true, because women are freer to make their own choices if they have an independent income, and are more fulfilled if they have a way to achieve something that is socially valued. Today, however, many women are incredibly disillusioned. To succeed, they have become career-minded as many men have, with the result that achievement has replaced relationship as the center of their lives.